I remember when Steve Jobs announced the iPhone, and I got one right away, and it was this, it had this kind of crappy 3G technology. I could kind of get some emails on it, but it was basically an iPod with a phone on it. And at the time, and I've seen you talk about it. The top five companies in the Dow, I think, were these kind of typical industrial companies. And then fast forward to a 4G world where it becomes these information companies, and then fast forward to a 5G world, and we have something that I think you can see clearly, but the rest of the world can't. Maybe you can walk us through that.
Yeah, so I mean, what's interesting now, let's just look at how marketing campaigns happen now. I mean, you can actually take information about tracking people and use that in a marketing campaign and really target who you want that marketing campaign to go to. And it's really on the basis of all the data that's collected on the smartphone about you. So you're right, 2007, iPhone comes out and there's AT&T, General Electric, Microsoft, ExxonMobil, and Shell are the top five. 10 years later, it's Facebook, Amazon, and Google, and Apple, and Netflix, and I think Microsoft. Well, when you look at the 5G world, and I saw that, I had glimpses of it when I was a defense attaché in Beijing. You really understand that it's a whole another level. So one of the interesting things about the network side of it is the 4G network allows for 10,000 devices to be connected within a square mile. The 5G network allows 3 million devices to be connected in a square mile. That's a massive explosion on the on the amount of connectivity.
So that's 10 times, 100 times, 300 times more, 3,000 times more?
It's 300 times
300
more.
times more, okay.
So what happens there is that those devices aren't, they're not smartphones, they're cameras, they're machines. And what happens is that extra connectivity goes into creating all of this massive machine-to-machine data that's being collected on everything that's going on. So now your smartphone's device is collecting a lot of information about you. But soon the smart city is collecting a lot of information about you. And what that means is that all of that data can be used to be mined to influence you in other ways. And so, but today you can say, I want to opt out of that. And the way you opt out is basically by not having a smartphone. Tomorrow, if you want to do that, you can't, right? Because those cameras are built in place. They're connected to the network. They're watching you. They're doing facial recognition, artificial intelligence driven facial recognition, and they're watching everything you do. So I got glimpses of this when I was living in Beijing in 2017.
What does it look like? I mean, what is that reality like? I mean, you said that there's one camera for every two individuals in China, and that you can walk into a restaurant and by facial recognition, it knows your previous order. I mean, like, what are some of these realities of a 5G world?
Right. So you walk into a restaurant, so you order your food on your, you open up the WeChat application on your phone. You go to a restaurant app within WeChat, and then you order food, and then you put your phone away. You walk in, a camera recognizes your face and essentially does facial recognition, and essentially the server says, "Here's your food, Bob or Bill," and greets you by name. You never have to touch your phone again. The transaction's complete, and this is the 5G world. And so, in 2017, what you had was a blend of 4G world and 5G world. It was really based on the wired internet within these individual shops within China. But 5G really tears out those wires down and really allows you to put those cameras everywhere. So everything becomes an opportunity to interact. So if you're standing on a street corner and you want a cab, you can raise your hand, and rather than having a cab driver recognize you, a camera will recognize you and send you a car. So it's a completely different way of thinking about how to interact with your society.
So I raise my hand, the car shows up, I jump in there, I don't pull out my phone, It drops me off my destination. I just get out, and it just automatically builds.
Right. You basically, it sees your face, it recognizes who you are. You say, take me to X, it just does, like, think about Google Home or Alexa. It basically puts that in, and off you go in your self-driving car to where you want to be. That's what 5G really, so until you have that technology built into the fabric of the society, 5G, it's not just a network, it's also a computing environment, right? Because it's picking up those words, it's picking up those gestures, it's picking up the images, and it's turning them into, essentially virtual button pushes in the 4G world. So now, rather than needing you no longer need a smartphone. You just walk out and start interacting with the world, and things happen by virtue of the fact that all of this has been built. All of the apps and services that are in your smartphone have been built into the city around you. And it's a wonderful thing if it is secure and protected and actually promotes your privacy. But the model that we built, this open data model, absolutely doesn't.
I mean, that's a frightening reality. I mean, like you said, if in the 4G world, you got your phone, so I can opt out, I can try to hide my location, I can download and delete my data, or I can not hold a phone. And then maybe certain companies don't have information about me. I can not have a Facebook profile like some people do, and they think they don't have a digital footprint. And maybe some of that's true. But in the 5G world, you can't opt out. So by definition, all of these cameras know, and all of these Internet of Things devices know everything about you in such a way where it's a marketer's dream. I mean, it's almost like Total Recall. I mean, like you said, if they know your gestures and you have a limp in your leg today, then all of a sudden you get the advertisement for the thing. I mean, it goes on and on.
Yeah, and I mean, if done properly, I think it can be tremendous for society. So let me give you an example. One of the things that people say is that artificial intelligence is going to put a bunch of people out of work. That these platforms, 5G and automation and robotics, is going to make labor obsolete. I actually think the opposite. And the reason is because we have been working for so long to create what's called strong AI. In other words, artificial intelligence that really kind of is similar to real intelligence. And I don't think we're any closer to that today than we will be in 10 years from now. But what we do have plenty of here in the world is billions of real intelligence. And many of those people are either not in the right geographic location to use their skills, or maybe have some kind of physical ailment or difficulty that prevents them from continuing to do jobs that they've been good at. All of this is enabled by bringing that person into what would be like an artificial reality environment connected to a machine. So say, for example, you're an elderly bricklayer, and you do tremendous bricklaying work, but you're just too old, your body's too broken down to do it. This network, if built correctly with security precautions in place, and which allows you to have this kind of transfer of your mind into a machine, allows you to continue work in ways that make you feel constructive, and allows you to continue to be a functioning part of society. I think what's going to happen when we begin to build these networks, if we do them correctly, is it's going to be a renaissance for people that want to continue to stay engaged and things that they love to do, but that maybe don't have either they're not in the right location because where they choose to live doesn't have any jobs for them, or they have some kind of physical issue that prevents them from doing it. So it's really about using, it's not just machine-to-machine communication, it's also man-to-machine communication. And I think we really disregard that in a lot of ways, because people don't tend to think about how it is that technologies will affect their lives, because they don't think about the technology and the implications of itself. It's kind of like the policy discussion I was talking about. People don't think of the second and third order consequences of a policy decision in government. The same as they don't think of second and third order consequences of the introduction of technology. It tends to be very surface deep. So, AI theorists think about, oh, we're going to just put everybody out of work. I don't think that's the case. It hasn't been the case for most of technological advancements in the world. It's just led to different jobs. I think it's going to lead to a whole host of things that's going to allow people to be much more engaged in their societies than they have been because of the things that I mentioned.